So, why would you watch a book review from a dude who's barely read many books in his life? I don't actually know. You can go to another video if you want. I don't care. But I'll let you know that this book was the one that actually got me into reading books. So if that isn't reason enough, I don't know what is. Hope you enjoyed the video. G'day everyone, welcome to another awesome day. Woo woo woo! Can you do this? I don't know. But it's another beautiful day here, and for some reason I'm sitting here inside. Why would I do that? I know, I should be at the beach, but I'm here making a video. Because I really want to mention this book. Because this book is really great, and I think you should read it. This book is called The Black Prism by Brent, and it is a fantasy novel made in 2010. And it is the first book that I read in like 15 years, and I read it last year. And I think that you should too. So, what is this book? What's it about? I don't know. I actually do know. Because I've read it, unlike you. Basically, Kip and Gavin. Kip is our 15-year-old. We follow Kip for the most part. And his, you could say, hero journey in these sort of fantasy settings. Phew, it is hot. So, we see a lot through his eyes. We learn about the world through his eyes. We learn about the magic system. We learn about these characters a lot through him. But then we also have this other character named Gavin, who is on the opposite end of the spectrum. A little hint for the book, spectrum, because the book's about light. Gavin, who knows everything about magic, because he is called the Prism. And the Prism would basically be like the leader of the church, like the Pope, I guess. Because people actually worship him and think, this dude's a legend. Because he can use all sorts of magic. He can do all sorts of crazy things. We go on a crazy adventure. There are some cool battles. And there are lots of cool characters that we meet. And we learn about it, the most interesting random character systems and magic systems ever. So, that brings me into the pros about the book. What did I like about this book? There are many things that I want to talk about here. So, first of all, the magic system. That is why you read this book. This magic system has been noted by many people as being one of the coolest magic systems in any book. And, oh my goodness, yeah. After not reading for years and coming back into reading, this book was flippin' awesome because I had never thought about a magic system like this. Very quickly, I'll just go into it. So we've got a light system. They can draw magic from light sources. You know when you get a shiny piece of glass and you shine it towards the sun, you can see different colors in that glass? Basically the same colors that you'd see on a rainbow. Some magic users can use different colors of that rainbow, and each color, you can do different things with that color. But then we have Gavin, who can use all of the different colors. So he can do like a range of abilities. But the con with it, if you use too much magic, bad things will happen to you. I don't want to go into too much, but so it leaves you in this really cool balance of when people should use magic versus trying to run away or like trying to find some other way out of that situation. And then you think about like it has many implications in the book and it expands so much. And this is only book 1 of a part 5 series. So, and I've heard that they expand a lot more in the later series. How crazy is that? Just first of all, we've got this amazing magic system first of all, and then it just expands over the other books. So first of all, magic. Second thing I wanted to talk about, pros, was characters. The characters were really cool. Most of these sort of fantasy things I was expecting to come in after not reading and just being like, oh yeah, the classic hero trope that they're going to win in everything. They're going to be all powerful. No cons. Like, you know when you watch Aragorn, he is just a stand-up guy. I flippin' love Aragorn, but he never does anything wrong. Have you noticed? He's just a stand-up dude. But in this, I was kind of expecting our characters to be a bit like that. But no. There was some morally grey decisions they made. Some crazy things that they did where I was like, that's not a thing that good guys do. But Brent Weeks did a really cool thing, and even though some of our characters will do dumb things or things where you go, that's a bad guy thing, but you're still going, no, but they're still the good guy. They did that because of this. They were trying to do good, but they're left between like a rock and a hard place sometimes. Because, okay, wait, it's like, you know that example people give where they say, oh, imagine you're on a train and you're the driver, and then on one side of the tracks you've got bunch of children, and then on the other side you've got a bunch of old people, and you're like, who do you save? Who do you run over? First of all, wait, that example, I've always thought, like, how the heck did a bunch of old people get onto the tracks? Where's our law enforcement? What compelled these old people to get on the tracks? I understand the children, they'll be like, ran away from their parents and met up in a gang, and then they just, let's hop on the tracks, hell yeah. Old people, though, what were they doing? Heading out like, wait, how'd they get in there? I don't know. I don't know why I think about this stuff. But where was I even going with that? Oh yeah, it was to do with characters. So sometimes the decisions they make, it's not because they were trying to be bad, but it was because it was like, what's the lesser of two evils right here? And I think that this book and in other ones that happens, that's kind of what happens. Man, I explained that for way too long. A couple of other pros that I wanted to talk about was just the general world. Now, because there's so much talk about light and magic in this world, I could imagine the world so vividly, and I could just imagine how the magic had influenced so much of the world, and it was just such a bright world in my eyes. So that was really cool. And last pro was, number 4, was pacing. I really loved the pacing. I just thought it was just fast. Like, this book is like 750 pages. It's a big boy, you know. But it didn't feel like it was like 750 pages. It felt big, yeah, but it read fast, like, and it wasn't written in a way that felt too complicated for me. I could read that and I was just charging through it. To me, it felt like charging through it. To others, it would have just been reading at a very moderate pace. And I loved it. Yeah, it was just like going through, and even some of the smaller conversations that not much really happens, but it still felt like things were happening. So I love that. Now, here's where I talk about the cons. There was some inconsistent writing in there. It's hard to put down. It may have been the tone. That's what I'm going to go with, tone. So some moments felt very adult. And as I was reading, I was like, wow, some gruesome things happening, like something straight out of like a Game of Thrones episode even. Either just really hectic stuff or conversations that I was like, wow, that was really well done. I could see you spend a lot of time on that. And then there were some other scenes that just felt a little more immature. Like some of the character decisions were a bit more immature. Some of the writing didn't feel as fleshed out in a way. It felt more like reading a YA novel. There's nothing wrong with YA novels, but it's like if you're reading a book where one chapter feels like a YA, the next chapter feels like adult fantasy and more epic fantasy, and then going back to YA, it made the read feel a little bit like this with the tone, where you'll have, and this is where I go into my second con, okay? I want to go straight into this. Some people have claimed that it might be a little bit sexist. So, I don't know. I didn't really find that at first. I was reading it and I was like, well, I don't understand. There's some great female characters. But as I read through, I was like, okay, I can start. But it was more funny for me. It wasn't like a big detraction. It was just funny, like to see where one scene you've got like torturous scenes, something hectic like that, where you're like, oh my goodness, did I just read that? And you're like, oh man, there's some hectic stuff happening there. And then the very next chapter, we've got like our main man Kip, who's like 15 years old, going through his hormonal stage, and oh no, I happen to slip and fall into the chestal area of a woman. So going on both terms there, the kind of tonal aspect where I'm like, oh wow, we just watched something really hectic, and then next scene he's like, oh no, women, woo! And then there was a few other scenes where they just mention this area of women a few times. Brent, what are you thinking there, buddy? You got a few thoughts in your brain, hey? Writing that book, you're like, yeah, I like this scene. For me, it didn't detract. As a guy, I was reading it and I was just sort of like, it's kind of funny. But I guess if you're a woman out there and you don't like that type of stuff, I can't speak for you. You speak for yourself, and you can, like a pirate. But in the end, let's wrap it up with a rating. How did I rate this? So when I first read it, I probably gave it like a 9 out of 10. But since then, I've read a lot of other books, and I still think this book is amazing. I think it's great, but I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. With some of those inconsistent writing, I've noticed some other authors that have, if they're going with YA, they've stuck with YA. If they're going with adult fantasy, they've stuck with adult fantasy. So that's probably why I've dropped it down to like an 8. In saying that, 8 is still great. Like, it was still such a fun read. I had so much fun with this book. And after not reading for so long, this was the book that made me like, okay, I love fantasy books. I have to read more. I have to read all of the books. This was the book that started it all. This is, yeah, really fun read. And I'm going to talk about the next one in another video. So in conclusion, I hope you liked the video. If not, why didn't you like the video? Why? Tell me in the comments what you thought about the video, what you thought about the book. Either way, have a good day, chill out, have fun, whatevs.